Welcome to the Fitness Oracle, where we have real conversations with real people just like you, with real stories just like yours. And this is one of their stories. I am your host, John Katsavos. My guest today is Greg Birch from Delta Life. He is a sales entrepreneur and a veteran U.S. officer of the U.S. Army with a winning sales mindset. Greg has broken records in the insurance industry and now coaches other insurance agents to achieve higher levels of sales. His military background and strong leadership skills have helped him lead teams to success in combat and in business. And he uses this experience in coaching and public speaking engagements to help organizations and entrepreneurs tap into their people and drive everyone's potential to the next level. Greg has honed a mindset of abundance and success that has helped him achieve his goals, and he has coached others on developing a winning mindset that can help them reach new levels of success. As the host of the Be the Difference podcast, Greg brings on guests to talk about his sales, leadership, mindset, and marketing techniques to help entrepreneurs with years of experience in sales, leadership, podcasting, and coaching. Greg is a dynamic and engaging public speaker who can inspire and motivate audiences to achieve their goals. Now, before we get into this episode, I do want to warn the listeners here. There may be, Greg does get into his, and really deeply into his story of depression and what happened when he came back from with one of his ex-girlfriends, and just be forewarned that there is a little bit of something that he did that almost made him commit suicide. So just be forewarned. It is a powerful story. I didn't want him to stop, but because of time constraints, we had to make it more of a conversation. This story is amazing. It's so mind blowing. I don't want to ruin it for you. I want you to listen to it. I know you guys are going to be enthralled by this story, and the man that came out of it is next level. And I know we all have it in us. We all have that in us when we're in that darkness, for us to be able to get out of that darkness. And when we get out of it, to become the man that is next level. So without further ado, have a listen. But before you go, I want to ask you if you're ready to take your life to the next level. Join the Fitness Oracle newsletter today and get exclusive access to a range of exciting perks. As a subscriber, you'll be the first to know about our new episodes, and you'll get early access before they're released to the public. But that's not all. You'll also receive a one-on-one phone call with me where we'll discuss your fitness goals, life goals, and business goals, and how we can help you achieve them. And you'll get access to our free private community, where we hold community calls on a weekly basis to talk about the episodes and how you're applying the lessons to your life. And that's not all. As a member of our exclusive community, you'll get access to some exciting programs that we are launching, so you can continue your journey toward health and wellness. Join the Fitness Oracle newsletter today and get started on a journey towards a happier, healthier you. Greg, welcome to the show.
What's going on, John? Happy to be here, brother.
It's great to have you on. We're gonna try to keep this conversation to an hour, because I have a feeling like even in the pre-call, you and we could have gone on for like 3-4 hours, like no problem.
Oh yeah, it was like an instant connection. We're like, are we brothers?
We probably are from different mothers. It's all good though. So how's everything on your end? Everything
Going well, man. Going well. So I when we had talked, I told you I had launched my coaching company just about 3 months ago, and it's been doing fantastic. And I've been coaching people for a long time previous
mhm.
to that, but it was just people that reached out to me that are like, dude, show me what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, I can do that, and I can help you out. And then finally I was like, man, there's a lot of people that need help. So launched my coaching company, and I've been incredibly busy. But you ever like been so busy, but you don't feel like it doesn't grind you down? Like I
Yes.
work from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, but I don't feel exhausted. Like I love what I'm doing. And so it's been a wild ride, but it's been great.
That's awesome. Yes, I have had that. When the podcasting first started, I was like going all crazy and like this is awesome. Like I would wake up at 5 a.m. Like I joke like I traded my 9 to 5 for my 5 to 9.
Yeah.
So what got you interested in this line of work that you're doing right now with coaching?
Man, that's a long story. Um so basically I had suffered from PTSD. So I'm prior military, and I served in the army for 11 years and deployed to both Iraq and Afghanistan. And while I was in the military, I was married, and my ex-wife and I, we have 4 kids together. And it was in um, 2009 on my first deployment that she cheated on me with another man, and I found out about it. And in 2014, and I had an affair to get her back. I was upset, and which, by the way, is not right. So I just want to caveat with that. I was in the wrong there. So I told her, it ate at me, and I told her about it. And so we ended up going to counseling. Didn't work out. We ended up separating, and I fell into depression because I'm a people person. Like I love having people around me. I'm super extroverted. If I could talk to people in the bathroom and be normal, I would do it. I guess like, what's up, bro? Nice watch. So it feeds me, and I went from, having a big household with 4 kids coming home every day with just like the kids screaming like daddy, 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 playing with me, to coming home and it just being empty silence, nothing. And dude, it was depressing. It was probably some of the worst times of my life. And with the PTSD, I just started spiraling. I started losing control. And I as a young kid, to back it up, as a young kid, I was a scrawny and pretty ugly kid. I was picked on a lot. I was beat up. I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'7", so I stand out. And I think because I stood out and I was so scrawny, like I was like laughably thin. Like people would see me and have to comment on it, kind of thing. And um, it was really bad for my self esteem. And when I got with my wife, to be honest, I got with anybody I could because I never thought I was going to be with anybody. I was like, I thought I was going to be alone, to be honest, because I had such bad self esteem issues. And her and I were together in college, and now I'm in my 30s, and I'd gotten bigger because one of my first deployments when I started lifting, and I got big, and all of a sudden now I'm alone again, and I hadn't been alone for most of my adult life, and I had this hole that I had this void in my soul I was trying to fill, and so I filled it by chasing women, and and just with sex, with alcohol, and it was this vicious cycle of chasing after women, never being single because I couldn't live with it. Um, from the time I got divorced in 2015 until the end of 2020, literally December 2020, I had not spent longer than 3 days single. Yeah.
Impressive.
Like usually within 24 hours, I met another person. And when I met them, like I was attached because I had these issues, right? And I was always with the wrong people. And my therapist had a really good, I went through therapy, and therapist had a really good explanation of it. She said, think about when you pick your partner, think about like it's like all the qualities that you look for in a partner is like the dresser, like drawers in a dresser, and each drawer has a different article of clothing. So like one drawer will have socks, another drawer will have your underwear, next drawer will have your shorts or your bottoms, next drawer have your shirts or tops. And she said, and now all these qualities are like emotional connectivity, mental connectivity, physical attraction, and then like wanting the same things in life, right? And she said, you're basically picking like one or two of those drawers, because it's just like it's always physical attraction, and it might be mental connectivity, but we don't want the same things in life and we're not spiritually connected. Or it might be like spiritual connection, but we're not mentally connected. We don't want the same things in life. It was always like one or two of those. She was like, that's like going outside with just your socks and underwear every day. Does that make sense? And I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. And so in 2018, I had a girlfriend that she had moved in with me very quickly. She had a daughter, and I felt trapped because I didn't really want to be with her, but I felt obliged now to be with her because she had moved from another state to come be with me, because I had moved from state to state, and she followed me, and her daughter moved in with her, and for all intents and purposes, I was now this kid's dad. And now I was like stuck, and I was like, man, I have to be with her now, but I didn't want to. But at the same time, I didn't want her to leave, because then I'd be alone. It was like this weird conundrum, right? And so in May of 2018, we got this big fight that was over the dumbest thing in the world. And like always, we get in a fight. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I turned immediately to alcohol, and I started just drinking Jack. My drink of choice was Jack Daniels, and I would drink it on the rocks with a splash of water, and I would just sip that bad boy, and just like it was Coke, and I would just keep pouring. And that day, between 10 o'clock in the morning and 5 p.m., I drank almost half a handle of Jack. I was like the big old gallon. Like I drank a lot, and it hit me at 5. I was like, man, I got to go to work, because I was an insurance agent, and I'd have appointments with clients in the evenings. And so I was like, well, I got an appointment coming up. Well, I'm going to go to his appointment. So I stumble upstairs, and she like locked herself in our bedroom. So she lets me in, and she's like, what are you doing? I was like, I got to get dressed for this appointment. She's like, you're not going to appointment. You're drunk. And I'm like, nah, I'm fine. Like, I'm fine. And she's like, no, you're not going. Now, during the day, while she was holed up in her room, I was spiraling while I'm drinking, and I'm like calling my friends and everything. And I'm going to a dark place. And every single time that I like lost myself and I felt like I was going to be alone, I went back to that dark place. I went back to that time of depression when my wife left, and it was just like, I didn't want to be there. And I was like, dude, no matter what I try, like I can't make my marriage work. The last girlfriend I had didn't work. Like this girlfriend, like at this point we became engaged. I was like, she doesn't love me. Like what is wrong with me? Like nobody loves me, And I was spiraling, and I was like suicidal, to be honest. And so she's like, no, let me take you. I'll drive you. And I'm like, no, you don't love me. You don't love me. You want to leave. Oh, well, like, I'll do it. And she's like, stop. You're being ridiculous. And so I was like, hey, look, like, here's the deal. And I'm trying to explain to her, because I'm a verbose person, and I don't mind sharing my feelings. So I'm trying to explain to her when she does these things and we get in a fight, what it does to me. And I'm also still inebriated, by the way. So I'm sure like I'm probably not making a lot of sense to her, but in my mind, I was making sense. So she, I'm telling her basically that when we get in those fights, when she would lash out and be like, I don't know, can I curse on here?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
She would be like, fuck you, I'm out. Fuck you, I'm fucking gone. Like, and she'd just be like, and it was automatic. Even though I didn't want to be with her, it would automatically be like abandonment issues springing up, right? And I was like, explain to her, like, when she does that it sends my anxiety through the roof, and my depression, I start to spiral. And when I spiral, like everyone's anxiety and depression is different. I'm more for my PTSD. I'm so used to being in a high stress environment and working high stress environments. So I'm like constant, my stress levels were like constantly high. Now, the good thing about that is that most things don't stress me out because I'm already like, I'm so used to high stress. But the bad thing about that is that things that do stress me out, I have very, very little room for me to, before my cup overfloweth and I'm spiraling. And so that just happened to be one of those things. And so I'm trying to explain this to her that I was spiraling and my feelings and that I didn't want to be there, like on planet Earth. Like I was done, you know? And she just had to, she got this blank stare on her face. And she responded with, well, why don't you go fucking slit your wrist then?
Oh, wow.
And that, bro, that was the moment. That was like the moment that like I hit rock bottom. And I was like, that's the sign. That's it.
Oh, wow.
It's my time to go. So I walked away from her. We were like at the entryway of our bedroom. I walked away from her. I went to my closet and I opened up, had these sliding glass mirror doors. I opened up the closet. I went inside. I grabbed my pistol, which was in a locked case. And I grabbed my keys out of my pocket and I started unlocking it. And as I'm doing this, she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm just ignoring her. And I'm opening up the case and she's like, whoa, stop. What are you doing? And I'm like, open the case, pulling the gun out. And she's like, I'm calling the cops. And she runs out of the room and she starts calling 911. And I pull the gun out and I had a lock that goes through the gun. It's like one of those wires that goes all the way through the pistol. So I unlocked it. I pulled it out and I cleared it. I put the clip in, loaded it. And then I stopped for a second. I was like, nah, she's going to watch this. She wants me to kill myself. She's going to see it. Like, so I go at to where she'd run. We were upstairs and she ran across the landing into the room that was across the other side of the landing, where her daughter was watching TV. It's like a playroom. And she locked the door. And I get to the door and I could hear she has 911 on speakerphone. And I go to open the door and it's locked. And so I just literally just put my hand on it and pushed it really hard and it slammed open. And it was like 5 seconds, which felt like an eternity, but it was like 5 seconds of insanity of her screaming. 911 operator is on the line. I can hear, and they're like, we're sending police now. Her daughter screaming, and I got the gun to my head, and I'm like, you want to watch me fucking kill myself? Like I'm fucking screaming. Like it was just insanity. And like something snapped in me. And I was like, and I looked over and her daughter screaming was like looking at me screaming. And I was like, man, I'm going to torment. Like they're scared of me. They think I'm going to hurt them. I don't want to hurt them. I want to kill myself. But two, they're like, her daughter was frightened. And I was like, this is wrong. And so I stopped what I did. I closed the door. I went downstairs and I went outside and I sat in a chair on my back patio and I called a buddy of mine. I had the pistol in my lap and I was calling my buddy, really close friend of mine. Him and I went to Afghanistan together and he was still in the military at the time. And I was like, dude, it's done. I'm over. Like, I'm sorry. I love you, bro, but I can't do this anymore. He was like, what are you talking about, man? I explained to him everything. He was like, dude, it's fine. You haven't done anything. I was like, dude, the cops are on their way right now. And as I'm saying that, I can hear sirens in the distance. My cops are on the way. No, I can't come back from this. And he was like, dude, have you fired the weapon? No. Did you hurt anybody? No. Did you hit her? No. You haven't done anything. Stop. You know. And as he's talking, cop car after cop car after cop car arriving at the house. It was like 10 cop cars. It was a shit ton. Wow. And they're getting out and they're getting on bullhorns and they're like, Gregory Birch, come out with your hands up. Like in my neighborhood, bro. It was pandemonium. Yeah. Now I'm sitting outside on the other side of the house in the backyard, you know. And I'm like, bro, I don't know if I can do this. And he was like, dude, just go talk to the cops. And so I ended up going back inside. I was listening to him. He let me go. And as soon as he let me go, the cops called. And they were like, hey, where are you? I was like, I'm in the living room. They said, "Do you have the weapon?" I said, "Yes." And they're like, "Well, go ahead and unload it, put it on the couch." And so I did. They said, "Come on out, let's have a talk." So I opened the door, and dude, as soon as I opened that fucking door and I stepped out, like this wave of emotion hit. And I just started bawling, like ugly crying, bawling like a baby. And just couldn't see snot bubbles
Yeah,
coming out. Like I was
yeah.
like uncontrollable, like heaving, and I was dying. And it was insanity. And the cop, I left that front door up. I didn't even close it. I was just like in a daze. And the cop looks through the front door and he sees that up above on the wall above the TV, there was my guide on from my company command. And he was like, "You're in the military?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, Did you serve overseas?" "Yeah." "Did you He's like, you get seen by the VA?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Bro, you need to. You brought some shit back with you. You need help." And he's like, "Don't worry, we're gonna get you help. We're gonna get you taken care of." And so that was when I started doing counseling. And
Mhm.
he took me to they took me to an inpatient facility, which I sat there. I didn't even get in processed. I sat literally in a waiting room for 48 hours waiting to get in process. Never did. They ended up releasing me to my sister, my older sister, who drove from Tennessee to Dallas, Texas, to come take custody of me. And she took me to the VA. I got my in processing down with the VA. I started getting seen by a counselor. I went back to that ex-girlfriend or that girlfriend, that fiance, and I
Mhm.
just begged her to let me make it right. I was going to go to counseling. I was going to get medication. I was going to do everything that I needed to do. I'm sorry. And so we ended up deciding to work through it. Which it didn't, that was a waste for me to do that. It didn't work out, um, but
Was it really? Sorry, I don't want you
I
to
mean,
stop the story because the story is like so like amazing. Like I'm blown away by your story. Like this story is like so captivating. I just want to let you go, but it's like
oh, I appreciate I was it was a tough time, bro. I was rock bottom. Like in my mind, I was in a fucking prison. I was. And I see what you're saying. I do. I think it was right for me to make amends, to take the steps to make amends. But I did it for the wrong reasons. I was doing it because I just didn't want her to leave. And
oh,
she still
okay.
left.
Okay. How did
And
you bounce back from that? I mean, that's like I have my story and my listeners know my story. And
yeah.
I bounced back over a span of a couple of decades and
Mhm.
I'm still trying to recover, but like it seems like you got your pretty much your shit together in like relatively,
Yeah.
quick period of time.
Well, that was in 2018. So get this too, to add insult to injury. While I'm in the inpatient facility, this is in May. I get custody of my kids because they're in another state. Because my ex wife is remarried to somebody in the military, and they move all over. So instead of me moving every single time I move, I stay one place and they move. And so, um, my fiance was friends with my ex-wife because we had all like they'd met, because she's gonna potentially be my kid's new stepmom. She calls my ex-wife and tells us what's happening, and my ex-wife is like, "Okay." She goes and she basically calls me. I was in there for maybe 4 hours. I had just gotten there basically.
Mhm.
And I get a call and they're like, "Hey, Gregory Birch." And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Hey, you got a call from somebody." So I answer the phone and they're like, it's my ex-wife. It's Amanda. I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" She's like, "Hey, I just heard what happened. You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Hey, well, just so you know, I just got a lawyer and I put a protective custody order against you from the kids. And so they are not coming to see you and I'm taking your custody."
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
okay. Well, fuck me. You picked of all times right now, right now. So call and tell me that. Like it's still the same day. Like I still drank a half a handle of Jack. It's still in my system. I'm still like, I'm still like half
Holy.
drunk. I'm like, well, when it rains, it pours. And so I ended up going into a custody battle with my ex-wife that we battled until literally the end of 2021 when it finally came to a close. It was really like the beginning of 2022. So
Wow. Wow, dude.
yeah.
Wow.
And so I think when she left, when her and I separated in October of that same year, we ended up calling it quits. And I felt it was actually one of the hardest breakups I'd had. And it was because when I came back and I apologized, I meant what I said, that I was profusely sorry about everything and I was going to do everything possible. And I did. I went to counseling. I started doing couples counseling with her. The couples counseling was like having us do practical exercises and read different things. I was reading them. I was like putting in the work. And I was like, I will do anything to make this right. And I was like, whatever you say, let's do it. And um, it was still like with all of that work, it still didn't work out. Still wouldn't, and she still didn't want to be with me after all that. And there was something about the rejection of being rejected. Like, dude, I did everything possible. And so, and I took it really hard. I took it personally. Right. And so even though in the long run, like her and I were not a good fit, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I took it so personally that at this time I was transitioning to another company, another insurance company. And so I just transitioned, and and I was like, I'm gonna, like, I saw that quote around the time that her and I broke up, and I transitioned, and it was like the best revenge is massive success. And I was like, I'm from Frank Sinatra, and I was like, I'm just gonna fucking crush his insurance, because she didn't even want me to be in insurance because I was okay, but I wasn't great. I wasn't making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm gonna crush this so fucking hard. I'm gonna make so much money that she's gonna look back and be like, fuck, I messed up. Right. And that's exactly what I did. I just threw myself into work. And so I found a passion for sales. And I got really good at sales. And I sucked at first, but I ended up getting very good because I just threw all of my energy into it. And I got very serious and very disciplined about my work. Um, and through that, the insurance agents across the industry would like reach out to me and be like, dude, you're crushing it. What are you doing? And I would just teach them the things that I learned. And I would be like, well, tell me what you're doing. And I would break it out and say, hey, well, this is not good. This is not good. Take those things out and do this, do this, do this. And I would coach them. And I've just from, I guess, from the military and the way the military teaches, I just break things out very simply, and that's just the way I teach. And so that was how my coaching kind of started, was through sales coaching. And agents over time would be like, dude, I want to come work with you, because no one's ever coached me like this. Like anytime, like and that's kind of the insurance industry. No one really knows how to coach, and there's no real leaders. There's just managers, and they'll be like, hey, I'm having problems on the phone setting appointments, and their answer will be like, we'll buy more leads, make more dials. It's like, okay, then what? Then buy more, and make more dials. And it's just like, dude, they don't. It's because they don't know what they're doing either, right? They're not doing the work either. So I just happened to do the work and go through and get my face kicked in on the phones a lot until I got really good. So, but in the meantime, while I'm doing this, while I'm focusing work, right, and while I'm coaching these agents, and while I'm really like, I'm doing it in when you look at entrepreneurship, you can use anything as fuel. Like at the time, my fuel was to prove my ex-fiance wrong, was to make her want me back.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I wanted her back, but I wanted her to regret the decision of leaving.
Right.
Because I was angry.
Right.
And I wanted to prove it wrong. And that fueled me, initially. But at the same time, while I'm doing this, I'm still relationship, like bouncing between these women. And from the outside looking in, like anyone would be like, dude, that guy's crushing it in sales. He's making a lot of money. Like that was at the end of 2018 that we broke up. In 2019, I sold $425,000 of insurance, made $360,000. In the previous year, when I was with her, I sold about $75,000, and I made about 60. Mm-hmm. So huge difference, right? And I was just it's like a multiple of 5, of how much more I made when I was away from her. And so the from the outside looking in, it was like, man, that guy's crushing it. But to be honest, I was still depressed. I still had this void in my soul that I was trying to fill. I didn't want to be alone. And it all kind of came to a head in 2020 when I had a girlfriend at the end of through most of 2020 till the end, and it ended in flames basically. And it was more on her side where she was like the one freaking out,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't so much on me like I was with my ex fiance. But it wasn't any suicidal stuff. But it was pretty bad. It was
Yeah.
like super crazy. It's like I could write a book on it, and you'd be like, "Holy shit, that happened!" Yeah,
Even more than what you just shared.
yeah, it's even worse.
Holy shit.
So, so when her and I broke up, I was just like, man, why does this keep happening to me? Right? What the fuck is wrong? And initially I was like, I'm just going to be single for a while. And I did it because I wanted to prove to her, to this girlfriend we had just broke. I really like, I wanted to get her back. Was like, I only want to be with you. Right. And so I was like, I'm not going to be with anybody else. But then that turned into a personal development journey. And it was the longest time I'd been single my entire life. And it was hard. It was really, really, really difficult. And um, I, I just, that was the moment when I started to realize like I was the problem, that I was attracting this into my life because of me, because of the actions I was doing. And so I've always been very obsessed with the military and how the military can take people from all across the nation, from all walks of life, every race, every religion, male, female, doesn't matter. And they can break them down to the base, and then they can rebuild them with discipline, by controlling the environment, controlling how clean they are, paying attention to detail, controlling what they eat, controlling how much water they drink, controlling that they drink no alcohol, controlling that they learn every day, controlling that they do physical fitness every day, controlling that they get up early, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, like all down the line. But when you start to do these discipline actions, even over 8 weeks, it literally transforms a person and makes them a different person. As long as they continue down that journey, the problem is the accountability piece. When you have a drill sergeant there that's making you do it, man, you'll do it. But when the drill sergeant leaves, you haven't really built a habit. And the problem is that most people go back to the old ways, right?
Yeah.
But when they first graduate basic training, they're different people. They become a different person. So I was like, how can I capture that essence and do that for myself? And so, I was listening to this podcast, and it was in February. It was February 2021. And I started throwing myself into work again. That's all I always do when I get after a big breakup. So I throw myself into work. I'm throwing myself in work. I'm doing this whole like marketing thing. I started doing podcasting. That's how I started podcasting. It was in 2021. And so, um, the I was listening to a podcast, and I'm listening to this podcast, and it was the Real AF podcast with Andy Frisella. And this guy is talking about doing 75 hard. And I knew about it, and I tried it, but I didn't really do it. And he's like, dude, at the end of 75 days, like if you do it, it was like he was speaking right to me, because I tried it. I did it for like 20 days, and I was like, I got it. Like I work out every day, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't watching my diet. I was still drinking alcohol. I wasn't drinking the right amount of water. I wasn't reading. There's a lot of things I wasn't doing. And so he's like, dude, if you don't do it the right way, and you think I've done it for like 20 days or so, and I got it. He's like, you don't fucking got it, bro. You don't got it. Like at the end of 75 days, you're a different man. He was like, I was a different human being. I leveled up in every way possible. And so I was like, that's it. That's what I need. Because I was still depressed, still like in my head, couldn't get over this person. And so I started 75 hard like the next day. and it was the Sunday after it was Sunday after Valentine's Day, 2021. And I was just committed to it, and I did it, and man, it changed my fucking life. It changed. I mean, I'm a different man today. I'm here today, being able to tell this story, being vulnerable about it, because I've never talked about this shit with anybody, because I was ashamed, because I was embarrassed.
How similar is 75 hard to the military training that you experienced when you were serving? Oh, and by the way, thank you for your service. I have a soft spot in my heart for vets and for current active soldiers. So thank you for your service.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. Thank you for your support. Yeah. It's similar in the fact that it has measures built within for accountability. And you know, in the basic training, you, like I said, you have to control what you eat, because you can only eat what the food they give you, right?
Yeah.
You have to drink so much. They force you to drink so much water a day. They're basically forcing you to drink a gallon of water a day, right? That's two things. You can't drink any alcohol. There's three things. You have to do PT every day. That's four things. And they have training and they have reading that you have to do every day. Five things. So basically, it's very similar. It's real similar when you break it down. The only difference is that in 75 hard, you have to take a progress picture every day. And then you have to do 2 workouts a day. One of them has to be outside. One of them, it doesn't matter. So, but one does have to be outside regardless of weather, regardless how hot it is, raining, snow, sleet, doesn't matter. You do it. And so, that's the only difference, but everything else is pretty similar. So it's all based on discipline. And what happens is that when you compound discipline action, day after day after day, it builds this confidence within you. And then that confidence over time builds your mindset. It toughens your mindset. So the way that you speak to yourself changes, and you start to identify with yourself in a much different way. So like, I didn't identify with myself in the same way, where I was like letting my thoughts control me, where I had to sit there and spiral and go out of control. I started getting a point where I was like another piece of me was coming in. Like, it's like almost like having the angel and the devil, right? Where the devil's like trying to get me to just spiral and let my ego thoughts kick in and just think about the past and wallow in it and be in pain and all this stuff. And then the angel's like kicking that shit to the curb and be like, no, get out of your fucking head and get to work. You got shit to do. And I just had shit. I had too many shit to do. And I was like, I don't have time to sit here and just like waste my time thinking about this bullshit. And it made us just a happier person. And so, and it was like phases that your mind goes through, right? And you know, when you first start, you kind of get elated, and you're like, and I got elated. I was like, yeah, this is feeling great, right? And then you have a little slump, and then it starts to go on cruise control. And then there's like one point, like at like day 40, when like it's like it starts to click, and it's like, I've arrived. Like this is what it's all about. And your mind starts to get your mental and your physical state start to come into alignment, and they're like growing together, and you start to like, everything starts to happen faster. Like your vibration rises. My sales started exponentially increasing, and I didn't feel like I was doing anything different. Like I just started getting better out of nowhere. I started getting more and more sales like crazy, and I crushed sales records in my company, and it was insane. And so I started like accepting more out of life. And someone like, I watched the movie Yes Man, which is a great movie. And it's a great book. If there's, you know, if you're listening to this, if you haven't read the book, it's a great book. So I watched the movie, and I was fascinated with the concept of just saying yes to everything. So I was like, you know what? I don't do enough in life. Like, I don't experience life. I'm gonna start saying yes to things. So my mentor at time was just like, okay. And he was like, well, you should go do this. And I was like, yep. He's like, you should go do this. Yep. He's like, you should go to church. Yep. You should start tithing. Yep. You should do a podcast. Yep. And I just started saying yes to everything. And so I started going back to church, and I was going to church consistently. I started tithing, and I was in church. It was maybe like the 4th or 5th week I was in church. And I'm like full speed. Like I'm autopilot now at this point, and I feel great. And when you get to that point, your inner speech, you call out your bullshit really quickly. Like if you have if I had a thought to give an example, if I woke up in the morning and I was like, fuck, I'm sore, I don't want to go work out. And like immediately another thought would come in and be like, just for thinking that weak ass thought, now we're going to get up and do a fucking cold shower. And then you're going to go straight to the workout and you're doing extra bitch. And it was like, that's how it was. And it was like another thought that's coming, be like, oh, dude, you want to have weak ass thoughts? I'm going to fucking show you. Okay. Get that shit out of here. And I was just like, I was like, that's how it was. So I'm in church and, you know, we're sitting there taking sacrament, and during sacrament, I'd always repent and I always pray. And usually it's just bullshit like, oh, I'm sorry for doing this week. I'm sorry for doing that. And I could have done this better and blah, blah, blah. And I could have been a better Christian. I could have prayed more, blah, blah, blah. And so, this specific day, I'm sitting there doing my whole rigmarole. And like this voice comes in, like my boss voice comes in. And he was like, no, Greg, you got more to repent for. And I started to like search within myself and like really dig in. And it was like facing everything I'd been holding on to. And I went back to that previous relationship that I'd broken up with. And I thought about everything that happened, how I was saying it was like more on her side, how she was the one that was kind of acting crazy.
Right.
I looked at everything that I did, and I released everything that she did. It was like, that's immaterial because I can't control another person. What are the things that I did? Were there things that I could have done better? And I went through and I chronicled them. I was like, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. This was a mistake. This was a mistake. And I started to take accountability for it. And I accepted that I fucked up, that I was just as much at fault. And then I forgave myself. And I felt like this massive wave of relief. And
that's
after,
sorry,
dude, it was, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's a very hard thing for a man to do for himself, is to forgive himself.
It's very difficult. I was weeping in church. I'm not even kidding. It was hard. It was really hard to like go, because then I got done with that and I was like, that felt great. And I was like, I'm done. And that voice came back in and he was like, you're not done yet. And I went back to the next relationship and I went through all that. I thought about all the things I did. You're not done yet. I went back to the next relationship and the last relationship before that and the last relationship before that. You're not done yet. All the way back to my fucking marriage. And for so long, I was so pissed off that she cheated on me in my deployment that I justified the fact that I cheated on her, because she is like, well, she fucking cheated on me in my deployment, which is still fucked up.
Yeah.
So it's okay that I did this, but it's not okay. It's not. I was not a man. I could have been a man at that moment. And I could have said, you know what? I'm not okay with this, but we're going to fix it. And I'm not going to hurt you in order for me to feel better. We're going to fix it. And we're going to move forward healthily. Like, would I still have my family, my kids now? Possibly.
Have you fixed it?
I mean, I've accepted it. Her and I have a great relationship now.
Okay.
We have like for instance, when I go to Tampa, they live in Tampa, Florida. When I go to stay with them in Tampa, like I stay in their house with them, with her and her husband. So, and then when the kids come here and they want to come, they come and stay with me. So we're very close, like all together family. So like her kids, they have 2 kids together, and she has 2 more kids, and they call me Daddy Greg. So yeah,
very good.
So yeah, we have fixed that, and but it took for me to take accountability, and it was, dude, I sat there with, it seemed like it was like an eternity going through all these fucking mistakes that I'd made, and I realized the reason I'd been so unhappy, the reason why I didn't want to be alone, is because even starting with my marriage, was I had done some shit that was not okay, and I didn't want to sit there and face it. And I had done these actions that were not in line with the person that I knew myself to be in my heart. And when I faced those things and I released them and I took accountability for them and said I fucked up, and I forgave myself, now I could move forward unencumbered by all this baggage I keep trying to carry with me and ignoring and just stuffing down in a fucking box and hiding off in a dark space in my mind. And it was, dude, it was difficult. And if I hadn't done all the work I was doing with all my daily disciplines of working out, of reading every day, of making non-negotiable tasks that I have to do no matter what, no compromises, I wouldn't have built the mental toughness and resiliency that was required for me to do that. And it changed my life.
How do you know? How does somebody, let's say, who doesn't go to church, right? They don't believe in Jesus and they believe in something else and whatever. I'm not going to judge. I believe in Jesus. I'm a huge Christian. I love my faith. How does somebody who's taken that, like you just said, where you taken that idea and you shoved it so far deep into that dark box that you've completely forgot about it, but it's still there because it's still nagging you and you still feel something is not right. I'm not right. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it is. How would you help somebody to bring that dark thing that happened to them in the past so far that they've forgotten? How do you help them bring it back out into the light so that they can see it and they can deal with it?
That's a good question. So through my journey, through my time in the military, through understanding like how military training works, through my own personal development journey, what I found was that your body, your mind, and your spirit are all intricately connected. Whether you're a religious person or not, doesn't matter. You still have a spiritual side to you. And understanding the spiritual side is just your man's search for meaning. It's ultimately like, what am I meant to be here for? What am I meant to do? What's my ultimate purpose? Right. And when you have all three of those and you let any of them go and you don't feed into it, it ends up being like an anchor to the other two. And sometimes people are only working on one and the other two are anchors, which really makes it to where their life is difficult. And so when you do discipline action and you do it with physical fitness, what that does is it increases both your mind and your body. But it does it in such a way that it creates a unique confidence within yourself. And that confidence over time develops into faith. And that faith truly is just your inner reputation with yourself, your inner belief in yourself. And that reputation and that belief develops into your knowledge of understanding, like, I can do anything I set my mind out to, which then is like another leap to, I can, like, finding your purpose and your passion, which starts to link to your spiritual side. And you start to develop this whole new spiritual awareness of yourself because you have so much faith within yourself, because you know you're the motherfucker that when you say you're going to do something, it's going to get done. Because today, 99% of people that are listening to this, I can guarantee you, they're not that kind of person because they make compromises. Because they're the person that's going to be like, I'm going to get up at 5 tomorrow. Hit the snooze button, loss. Hit the snooze button again, loss. I'm going to go start my workout tomorrow. Well, work called me, said I got to come in early. I guess I'm not going to work out. Loss.
Yep.
Get up earlier. Find a way.
Get up at 5 and get to the gym.
Yeah. And so when you make those, and you may think like, oh, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Because every single time that you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, we lie to ourselves. We lie to ourselves the easiest. And I know that myself. And when I stopped lying to myself, when I started holding myself accountable, when I say I'm going to do something and I fucking do it, it's like depositing into that discipline side. And every single time I do something, I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it, dude, it takes with interest.
Yes. Yes, it does.
It takes with a lot of interest.
Yes, it does.
Those small compromises. Oh, I'm going to start a diet and you don't start it. I can, you know what? I'm not gonna drink anymore. And then you find out your friend's like, let's go out this weekend. You're like, all right, okay. Like, I'm gonna go to bed earlier and not gonna binge watch some Netflix. And then next thing you know, you're laying in bed and they're friggin' watching your 10th rerun of Stranger Things or whatever. Like, dude, it happens, and I know, I understand, because like everything around us is meant, like it's designed. Your fucking phone is designed to suck you the fuck in. It is
Yes.
literally designed to do that, to make you lazy and incompetent and weak.
Yeah. 100%. So many talking points that I want to touch up on with that last one. I agree with you 100% that a man that cannot keep his word to himself cannot keep his word to anybody else.
Yeah.
But what
You
comes
got to lead yourself first. You have to
exactly,
lead yourself first.
exactly.
And so to answer your question, the original is like, if somebody is like got something that's bothering them, dude, for me, it always starts with, let's get you physically in shape. Because I'm willing to bet if there's something mentally bothering them, they're not in the physical shape that they know they can be. They may not be fat, they may not be completely out of shape, but physically they are making compromises. And
Yeah.
so it's like, I don't need to turn you into like Mr. Olympia. But dude, you should be able to look in the mirror and not be ashamed of looking at yourself naked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
You should be able to look in the mirror and be like, I'm proud of like the work I put into that.
Yeah.
Like, you're welcome, Greg. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should be. And that's how and dude, I feel great about it. Like, and it's not, has nothing to do with like being conceited or egotistical. Like, it has nothing. It's just this, like, I put in hard work and I appreciate it, which gives me even more confidence, which then transcends to my faith and my belief in myself, because all these things they're teaching me skills that are necessary in life and in business to be successful. I know that I have to eat a specific way and I have to work out every single day. And it's not going to be like, I did it today, I'm magically going to be awesome shape. This took years of working out and diet and nutrition to get
Yes.
to me to where I'm at now. And it's like, that was a lot of delayed gratification. That was a lot of like, putting off alcohol, putting off eating shit food when everyone else is doing it. And now when I look at it, dude, don't get me wrong, I'd love to shove my face in a pizza, bro. I'd love to. I'd love to shove my face in some Doritos, some Oreos, and like sit there and watch Netflix all day. That would be fantastic for me. But I know that if I do that, that I'm going to be a fat piece of shit. And I like being in shape. I like going places. I like, literally last night I was with my girlfriend and we went out and we went to go grab some food. And every single place that we went to, people literally came up to me and they were like, dude, bro, you are massive. Like, look at those arms, bro. Like, dude. And she was like, everywhere you go, it's like you're a celebrity. Like, and like literally everybody comes up to me. She was like, do you like it? I was like, I don't really care. Like, it doesn't get to my head or anything. Because for me, I like, what I always tell them, like, this kid came up to me, he was skinny, and I was like, bro, I used to be skinnier than you, and he was like, no way. And I was like, yeah. And I pulled up my phone and showed him a picture. I was like, that was me. He was like, shit. I was like, dude, if I can do it, you can do it. So if you want to look like this, you can do it.
Yeah.
You just got to get to work, man. And so I always want to inspire that kid. Hopefully that inspires that kid to go to the gym and like change his body and change his mind and change his life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I always try to like spin it to like inspire other people. Like, hey, like, I'm not special. I'm not. There's nothing special about me. I just did the work. That's it. And so, and a lot of people are like, "Who do you coach?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I coach." And I'm like, "Here's my card." And I'm like, "I got an NFC card." And I'm like, "Hey, go check out my website. Go look me up, and we'll connect." But, it's something that, through all of this, I found my passion, because people started like reaching out to me. They're like, dude, you're like a different human being. What's wrong? What's going on with you? And I was like, I just went through a transformation, and this is the most fucking miraculous thing I've ever been through in my life. Like, I'm telling you, like, I felt like unstoppable. Like I was superhuman. It was
Very
crazy.
cool. Very cool. I
So,
wanted to ask you, What do you think comes first? A man's word or a man's purpose in life?
Ooh, his word.
His word comes first.
Yeah. You're not going to be able to find your purpose, to be honest. You're just not. Like if you don't have integrity, like there's a lot of underlying issues if you don't have integrity with yourself and with others. And integrity starts with yourself first. Because when you start being true to yourself, you will. And here's the thing: it all starts with yourself. Love comes from within. Integrity comes from within. Leadership comes from within. Strength, power, everything that you need is all within you, right? And I'm not even like fucking kidding. I'm being serious. When I stopped trying to seek out love in everywhere, and I started finding it, like loving myself, because I knew I was the kind of person that kept my word and I had a good reputation with myself. I started seeing love everywhere. I started giving love to everyone, and it's abundant. It's completely different. And so that's how I found my passion, was through that. But I had to keep my word to myself.
Interesting. What if a man is not used to keeping his word, but he knows he needs to keep his word, and other men point it out to him? That can trigger a man into a very negative, very bad spiral.
It can.
How would you how would you help a man understand that his word is everything without like triggering him to the point where it's like, fuck you, I don't want to deal with you, I don't want nothing to do with you, get out of my life?
So when I do my coaching, I use a lot of the Socratic method. And what I mean by this, I ask a lot of questions. I'm very much like I do it like kind of like how Jesus just asks a bunch of questions in the Bible. That's all he does, is he just asks questions. I do the same thing. I listen to everything you have to say, and then I start asking questions, and I'm doing specifically honed questions that gets them to come up with the answer. So it's coming from them, not from me. And then they're like, and then they have these epiphany moments, like, oh man, I didn't even say about that. Because they haven't been asking themselves the right questions. And that's all our thoughts are. Our thoughts are just a series of questions and answers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just asking a different set of more courageous questions that's getting them to think about it, putting them in an emotional state, and then saying, what are you going to do about it? I want to do this. Okay. Well, here's the path.
Mm-hmm.
But
very cool. Very cool. Deadlifts or cardio? Had to ask.
Deadlifts all day long, bro. I don't know. I've been doing so. Like, I just got down to the gym right before we started recording, and so my gym workout today was a smoker. I did a mile and a half on the treadmill, and then I would jump off. I would do 2 exercises, 4 to 5 sets each. Jump back on the treadmill for a mile and a half, like a full on run. Like I'm maintaining like a 6.5 to 7 minute mile pace. Jumping off, doing 2 more exercises, jumping back on. So I did 4 sets of that. So ended up doing 6 miles, and then and I did a whole body circuit. So like first 2 exercises were legs, next 2 exercises were back and buys, next 2 exercises were chest and tries, last 2 exercises were shoulders and abs. And so it was a smoker. But I do like doing cardio, just because heart health, and great for burning fat, as long as it's not too much. Like a lot of my cardio honestly is like really brisk walking, and I do a lot of push-ups. So I do 1,000 push-ups a day. So I'm not even kidding. People hear me say that and they're like, no fucking way. And I'm like, I started at 200 a day by doing 10 sets of 20. Like when you break it up like that, you're just like, oh, I could do 10 sets of 20. Like, could you do 20 push-ups an hour every hour for 10 hours in a day? Like everybody could do that. Just about every man could do that.
Yeah.
20 push-ups is not hard. And I just did it consistently every single day for a week. And at the end of the week, I upped it from 200 to 250. And then I did that for a week, and then went from 250 to 300, then 300 to 350, XYZ, all the way up to 1,000. And I was just like, I got to 350, and I was like, I wonder how far I can get. I'm going to get to 500. Got to 500. I was like, this isn't that bad. I'm going to get to 700. Got 700. I'm going to get to 1,000. Got to 1,000. So now I do 1,000 push-ups every day, but it keeps me It keeps me like keeps me really lean. It keeps me really vascular. My strength's super high, my endurance is super high. Like it helps everything. So
That's good. I push-ups is part of my morning routine, but I haven't done my morning routine in months.
oh yeah.
Something I got to get back
Morning
to.
routines are important, bro.
I know they're critical. It's like my mom says, like you are the rest of the day the way you started. And if you start off a shitty day, a shitty way, your whole day is going to be shit. So morning routines is one way just to start, have everything good impact, good start, good high energy. Something
Absolutely.
I got to get started again.
Highly recommend a good morning routine. Highly recommend it.
We are coming close to the end of the show.
Yeah.
This has been a banger of a show. I'll tell you right now, this has been one of those shows where I didn't want to end it. There's just so much that I wanted to talk to you about. And it's just your story and everything that we were getting into is just next level. These are the 7 or 8 questions I ask all my guests, and I want to ask you these
Like
questions.
lightning round, real quick.
Sure, we can do lightning round.
Okay. I'll try to breathe through though.
With the increase in people suffering from depression from the last 2 to 3 years that we've been living through this uncertainty and all this nonsense, what would be the one thing that you could tell them to keep their hopes up?
This is great. This is great. I got a small story. So when that fiance broke up with me, I was fucking crushed. I was working a job and doing insurance at the same time because I was trying to bring in more income because I lost her income and I was fucking struggling. And so I was at this job. I was getting paid fucking pennies. And there's this guy that I did training with, and him and I were outside. He was smoking a cigarette. And this one specific day, she came by the office to come get the keys because she had to go get something from the house because she has all of her shit in my house. And so I saw her, and it fucking crushed me. And it was like after lunch, and she left, and I was sitting out there with him, and I was like, I can't go back inside. I fucking can't go back inside, like, and stare at that computer screen. I gotta go. Like, can you tell the boss, like, fuck, I gotta take the rest of the day off. He's like, I got you, bro. And I was just like, he could tell that I was dying inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to get in my car and I would like listen to music that reminded me of her, and I would cry like a bitch. And so I literally like was walking back to my car, and I was already knowing I'm going to listen to this song, and it's already playing in my head, and I was crying getting in the car. And when I got in the car, he texted me and he said, "The night is always darkest just before the dawn. Dawn is coming, Greg." So the night's always darkest just before the dawn. The part that the position of that everybody's having that tough time, right? In the place that you're in right now, you can get through it. And there's somebody out there that needs you to show them how to get through it and to tell your story.
What's the one thing that you do daily that amplifies your ability to stay focused?
Meditate. 100%. And there's a lot of people that'd be like, I can't meditate. I can't quiet my mind. I promise you, it's like riding a bike. If you never rode a bike before and you try to get on the first time, you're like, I can't ride a bike. I don't know how to balance myself. Yeah, because you've never done it. You just got to do consistently. The more you do meditation, the more you can quiet your mind, the better you get. It really does help. It's transcendent.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Steve Harvey actually says that praying is speaking to God and meditating is listening to God. So it's pretty cool. If you could pick up the phone right now and call yourself at 20 years old, what would you tell yourself?
Start reading every single day. Here's the first $10. Oh, yeah.
Looking back,
reading daily is communication is probably the biggest thing that will make or break someone's success, and that's the ability to read, or ability to write effectively, and to be able to speak effectively. And the best way that you can learn to do both of those is to read daily. You learn new words. You learn how different word tracks, right? Mm-hmm. And it increases your conceptualization, your creativity. And I'm talking reading, not listen to an audiobook. Don't be lazy. Actually read.
Grab an actual physical book and open it.
Yes.
Looking back, would you change anything?
No. No. Because I wouldn't be where I am today.
Very cool.
I was meant to do those. I was meant to make those mistakes.
Yeah.
I was meant to learn those lessons.
Yeah. What scares you?
I used to say failure, but now failure actually I embrace I like failure now because it means I'm learning and I'm growing. That's a good thing. Um Honestly, I think what scares me the most is the time that I've spent away from my kids because we live in two different states, and thinking about them growing up and like not wanting to have a relationship with me scares the shit out of me. It makes me want to fucking cry sometimes. I'm just like, oh, my boys, my girls, like I love my kids dearly. So and that's why I go out there and visit them once a month, every month. And then they still come for summers and stuff like that. So
where do you see Delta fit in the next 5 years?
Man, um, honestly, the way that we're growing, I wouldn't be surprised if I have, um, I kind of see it growing to the same that other fitness companies where I would like to have like a facility as I grow, like create a facility and almost doing like a mock boot camp where I can like bring people in for a week and put them through like a hell week of like challenges, really test their mind, test them physically, test them spiritually, teach them, and get them to like when they graduate, when they come out, as long as they don't quit, that they're like a different human being. It's like, you know, this most stressful week of their life, but it's also the most gratifying and the most, eye-opening experience where they find out the most about themselves. They really dig deep and they see what they're made of. I would love to create that.
Dude, if you ever create that, just know, like, I'll be one of the first ones to go through that because I love physical torture.
Yeah. I'm telling you, there's something about it, bro. Like when you put yourself in physically demanding positions, you find out what you're made of.
It's really true. Like, it's like you find your next level. You find the next. You're like, I can't believe I actually fought off five guys, three of them with knives and one of them with a gun, and I actually walked out of it. Walked
Yeah.
out of it. I
Yeah.
might have been cut up a little bit, but I'm still walking.
Absolutely, dude. You're spot on.
How about you personally? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Well, the girlfriend I'm with right now, we have been together for almost 2 years, and then we split up for a little bit, and we took some time apart, and then we reconnected, and we got back together, and so, but it's been very just like the second time through, it's been fantastic, and one of the most wonderful people, just the most beautiful souls I've ever met in my life. And so I know in my heart that I'm going to marry her. And I'd like to be starting a family with her. And she's doing her own, she's also a coach and she's doing her own coaching. And I'd like to just create something massive with her. And she wants to build her own gym and her own facility. And so she's got her own plans that she's building towards. So I would like to like have that shared vision with her and just be living with her and enjoying our life.
Very cool. Where can people find more about you?
The best place is going to be my Instagram. So go to, I'm at Gregory A Birch _ GREGORYABIRCH _ you can go check out That's a Fit Life. I have everything on there. You can check out, you can schedule a one-on-one call with me. And then you can also check out, I have a podcast where it's called the Be the Difference podcast, where I talk a lot about this kind of stuff with different people. So you can check that out on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. So
very cool. And I will post all the links that you sent us with the show
yeah.
notes so everybody has easy access to you and all your content. Any final thoughts?
You know, there is potential is unknown. Everyone's potential is unknown and unlimited. So I don't care where you're at in life. I don't care what you're doing on a daily basis. I don't care if you're like, well, you don't understand my situation. I'm telling you that if Elon Musk can put a fucking Tesla on the moon, that everybody that's listening to this can achieve some great shit in life. And I think if we all did that, if we all pushed ourselves every single day to be just a little bit better, that we would have a much better world. And so don't ever think that this doesn't apply to you, because this applies to every single fucking person that's listening to this.
Very good. Very good. Greg, thank you so much for sharing your story. It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I didn't want it to end, like, honestly.
I appreciate it.
What you're doing and what you've been through and how you're helping people is so needed, not just because of the pandemic, not because of the lockdowns, not because of anything. We've been dealing with these feelings for such a long time as men, and not having someone to fall, I wouldn't say fall back on, but someone like as a North Star kind of thing, to say, okay, well, Greg's been through all this crap in his life and he got out of it on the other side. Maybe I can mimic some of the stuff that he did. And this is why I created the Fitness Oracles, to bring men on like you, to share your stories, to share to other men out there, saying, you know what, dude, you're not alone. You're not alone.
Sure, you're not. You're absolutely right.
So thank you so much for coming out and sharing your story and being that source of inspiration for other men and that model for us to follow. Thank you so much for that.
You're very welcome. I appreciate you taking the time to have me come on, and thank you so much.
We're gonna have you on
do this again.
We're gonna have you on again, because we got none of the questions that I had written up. Maybe one.
Yeah.
So going through hard times is just a test. What you need to know is that when you get out of whatever you're going through, you will be stronger than ever before, and you don't need to go through it alone. Always know that you are not alone. Stay tuned for more real people with amazing stories that are just like yours. Until then, to everyone out there listening, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you may be in this crazy world. Hey guys, John from Resilient Reboot Productions and the Fitness Oracle. I just wanted to thank you for watching this episode, and I really do hope that you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, and share this episode if you are watching this on YouTube or on Rumble. If you are listening to this on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker FM, or whatever streaming service that you may be using, please give us a 5-star rating and a positive review, as it will help us reach out to more people that are suffering from mental health issues. Now, if you haven't done so already, I am offering access to a free weekly newsletter that we send out every Sunday, and it's jam-packed with podcasting tips and health and wellness tips to keep you balanced in the podcasting and content creating space. So if you haven't done so already, sign up to this free newsletter. It's totally free, and it also gives you access to the Fitness Oracle private community in Mighty Networks, where we talk about this episode. We talk about how you have implemented these lessons that you've picked up in your life and how it's impacted your life. And we are working on a lot of great other programs and support systems for you guys to be able to access. So if you haven't done so already, sign up to the newsletter, and I'll see you guys on the inside.